He has finally entered into Islam. Allahu Akbar. A few months ago, we made a video on him where he was prioritizing Indonesia over Canada because of Islam. His decision to relocate to Indonesia alongside his wife and son was motivated by a desire to immerse his family in a society guided by Islamic principles.
As a Muslim revert, I could say from firsthand experience that the Islamic way of life is easier than the old way of ignorance.
So this is how his story goes. One fateful day, a stranger approached Andrew Heimers with a question that would change the course of his life forever. He asked if it was possible that he had been misguided about Islam. This question challenged Andrew's perception of religion and led him to embrace Islam. In case you don't know, Andrew was born in Canada and now works in Indonesia as a senior English teacher. He's currently living in Indonesia's massive capital, Jakarta, and actively engages with the community both in person and through various social media platforms. The question arises, why is he so influenced by Islam? Well, in 2001, he shifted to Texas and had no idea where he was going to live. So a man named Alif from Bangladesh appeared at Andrew's office and extended a generous offer of his apartment. Initially hesitant, Andrew eventually accepted Alif's offer, deeply moved by his genuine kindness and willingness to help. During his stay with Alif, Andrew was amazed by the simplicity and decency of his lifestyle, which stood in contrast to his own beliefs and experiences as an atheist. Despite initially avoiding discussions about religion, Andrew found himself engaged in conversations with Alif, delving into the topic of spirituality. That's when Alif asked him if he may have been misguided about religions. Andrew thought for a moment and said yes. That was a changing point for him, as he reconsidered his beliefs and assumptions about the nature of faith.
I met a man from Bangladesh when I was in Texas.
Oh, okay.
And I just moved there to Dallas, and he was living there.
Dallas, Texas.
That's right.
Okay.
And I was looking for an apartment. And he just walked into my office and said, "Hey, I'm Alif. I have an apartment. You want to rent here?" And I thought he was really strange. He told me he was Muslim and it's important for Muslims to take care of wayfarers. I didn't understand any of that.
Okay.
And so he took me and showed me his apartment, and I did rent a room from him. And he would chat with me about Islam. At that time, I was totally uninterested. I didn't know anything about religion. But he asked me a question. He said, "Is it possible that you've been misguided about religion?"
Okay. He asked you that?
Yeah, just out of the blue. And I thought, well, yeah, of course it's possible.
Andrew acknowledged the possibility that his atheistic worldview may have been incomplete or misguided, and started having some serious questions. He was facing a lot of problems in his life already. His marriage didn't work out with his first wife, and they ended up getting divorced. In 2004, he decided to reevaluate his beliefs and find the answers to his questions. For that, he read a famous self-help book known as 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen Covey. Fortunately, the Quran answered all his questions. He knew Islam is his destination, but he was depressed, thinking he isn't worthy of getting into Islam. So he read the translation once again. That's when he understood that Allah is willing to forgive anyone. He wholeheartedly indulged Islamic principles in his life. He left alcohol and never touched pork ever in his life. Yet, perhaps the greatest challenge lay in changing his social circle. He made the difficult decision to distance himself from family and friends, seeking the company of those with Islamic principles.
So for me, it was about changing friends. That was the hardest part.
Yes.
Not the alcohol,
But the
abstinence, but
circle.
changing. Yeah, like that was the hardest because I had to have all new friends, whole new everything. I knew no Muslims in Canada, not a single person.
After 10 years of learning Islamic principles from different books, Andrew decided to have a partner who could help him in his journey to Islam. In 2013, he decided to enter into marriage once again with the specific intention of finding a Muslim spouse who hadn't been raised in Canada. Fate smiled upon him when he met his future Indonesian wife in Canada. And in 2014, they got married. After 3 years, they moved to Indonesia. His wife became a beacon of guidance and support on his path to conversion. With her by his side, Andrew was able to practice salah and fasting. And after 20 years of deeply analyzing the Islamic principles, he embraced it. MashaAllah, his transformation from skeptic to believer, from lost soul to devout follower, is nothing short of miraculous. Andrew is quite grateful to Alif. Without him, he would never be able to know about Islam and the correct way to live his life.